Bill O'Reilly, Killing the Rising Sun, How America Vanquished World War II Japan. Discover the harrowing historical account of the American campaign against Japan during World War II, as narrated by Bill O'Reilly in Killing the Rising Sun, covering pivotal events from the infamous Pearl Harbor attack to the eventual surrender of Japan. This summary takes you through the gruesome battles in the Philippines and Peleliu, introduces the samurai code of Bushido and the Japanese belief in Ahako Ikkyu, and provides a glimpse into the horrifying acts of the Japanese military. Learn about President Truman's decision to deploy atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and finally, Japan's surrender that brought an end to a devastating war.
The fierce battles of World War II in the Pacific. The United States declared war on Japan after the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. Fast forward to the autumn of 1944, the Allies were on the verge of winning the war when fierce Japanese resistance was encountered in both the Philippines and the small island of Peleliu. The battles lasted for weeks, and the U.S. Army suffered heavy losses due to the Code of Bushido, which believes surrender is dishonorable. Japanese imperialism in World War II. The ruthless military tactics of Imperial Japan during World War II are examined, highlighting their brutal treatment of civilians and prisoners of war. In the Second World War, Imperial Japan went to great lengths to gain control over Asia. They believed that their Emperor Hirohito was a divine being and did not waver in their allegiance to him, even if it meant fighting to the death. Their goal was to unite all of Asia under their emperor, which led them to invade and plunder neighboring countries for resources such as oil and steel. Unfortunately, these invasions resulted in horrors, such as the mass execution of Chinese prisoners of war and civilians in Shanghai in 1937. The soldiers participated in gruesome contests, wagering on how many heads they could chop off. In Nanking, an estimated 80,000 women were systematically raped by Japanese soldiers. The devastating attack on Pearl Harbor showed their cruelty and tactical cunning. Despite numerous setbacks, the Japanese refused to surrender, leading to a new strategy by the U.S. Air Force, led by General Curtis LeMay. The campaign targeted civilian cities with mass aerial bombardment, starting with the infamous bombing of Tokyo, which killed and badly burned thousands. However, these methods still did not break the will of the Japanese. In conclusion, Imperial Japan's military tactics in World War II were ruthless and marked by an utter disregard for the lives and dignity of civilians and prisoners of war. Their pursuit of control over Asia came at the expense of countless lives and left a legacy of atrocities still remembered today. Truman and the Atomic Bomb. On April 12, 1945, Franklin D. Roosevelt, the President of the United States, died, leaving Harry S. Truman to handle the rest of World War II. Truman had a powerful weapon in his hands, the atomic bomb. Before the war, scientists had discovered a way to split the nucleus of an atom, releasing a tremendous amount of energy. Both Germany and Japan were racing to build the first atomic bomb, but the United States was the first to succeed with the Manhattan Project. On June 23, 1945, Okinawa was finally taken after 82 days of fighting, but Japan still refused to surrender. The stage was set for Truman to make a critical decision, one that would change the course of history forever. The birth of the atomic age. In 1945, the Trinity atomic bomb test detonated successfully. President Truman, attending a summit in Germany, received news of its power and believed it could be the weapon to end the war against Japan. Despite some surrendering Japanese soldiers, there were still millions ready to fight. Truman authorized 2 atomic bombs to be dropped over Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This decision would change the landscape of war and spark the beginning of the atomic age. The devastating Hiroshima bombing. On August 6, 1945, the United States dropped the "little boy" atomic bomb on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. Despite prior warnings, including evacuation orders dropped from B-29 bombers, the city's residents, many of whom were soldiers, remained in their homes. The bomb caused unprecedented destruction and human misery, instantly wiping away 70,000 lives within a 1-mile radius of ground zero. Survivors beyond the radius, covered in burns, screamed in agony, and many would eventually die from radiation poisoning. President Truman called for Emperor Hirohito to surrender unconditionally but received no response. The bombing of Hiroshima marked a significant moment in history as the first and only use of atomic weapons in warfare. The aftermath of the atomic bombings. The use of atomic bombs marked a turning point in the Japanese-American War, prompting both fear and celebration in Allied nations. While some newspapers celebrated the new weapon, others feared it could spur a nuclear arms race. Soon after the bombing of Hiroshima, the Soviet Union declared war on Japan, further complicating the conflict. Despite being encircled by U.S. forces and having no chance of victory, Emperor Hirohito refused to surrender. The U.S. Air Force then dropped Fat Man on Nagasaki, killing an estimated 45,000 people and injuring 60,000. Many survivors of the atomic bombings suffered from radiation poisoning in the following months and years, adding to the already devastating human toll of the war. Concluding World War II. The book's summary narrates how the Japanese culture of surrender being dishonorable and fear of criminal punishment prevented the end of WWII. The Nazi war trials held in Nuremberg had caused uneasiness among the high-ranking Japanese military leaders, including Hirohito, fearing the same fate. Truman was unwilling to succumb to their demands but negotiated to allow Hirohito to remain in power without immunity from prosecution for his war crimes. Finally, after several Japanese generals and ministers were sentenced to death, including Tojo and Hirota, on August 15, 1945, Japan made its surrender official, ending World War II.
Bill O'Reilly's Killing the Rising Sun explores the brutal and relentless fight between the United States and Japan in World War II, providing a detailed historical account of the key moments and strategies that shaped the grueling Pacific campaign. The book delves into the mindset and motivations of both sides, as well as the atrocities committed during this bloody conflict. The author also highlights the factors that finally led to Japan's surrender, including the horrors unleashed by the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This powerful and engaging narrative ultimately emphasizes the importance of understanding history, in order to prevent humanity from making the same mistakes in the future.